Hello everyone, let me know if you can hear me all right. It should be fine, but just want to check the sound in case, because we had a semi-disaster with the videos last week, although the microphone was fine. And now everyone's quiet. I realized it was quite a delay last week, so it might be some delay this week as well. I'm not really sure why that is, if it's the streaming going on or if it's something else. Here we go. Okay, there was 5 comments coming in straight away. Hi Troy, Maro, Harry, Fee, awesome. Cool. Hi Shell. So I might as well just start then. So I'm just, for those of you who haven't been on the live stream before, either last week or last year, what I'm doing is that I'll talk about something for a little bit, for 15, 30 minutes, whatever, however long it takes. And meanwhile, I might not be able to read all of your comments. I think it should be a little bit more organized today with the comments because I don't have as many things to share on my screen. Because last week I just had things all over the place. Okay, so Vapnada can't hear me because he's got an ear infection. That's too bad. Unfortunately, we don't have subtitles on these live streams, so I don't know how you're going to cope. Yeah, so I'll just go through all of the things that I want to say, and you can post your questions meanwhile, or you can just wait until I'm done. For now, we don't have more than 20, 30 people on the live streams anyway, so I can easily catch up. So just if you have a question, throw it out. If I see it, I might answer it during the presentation. Otherwise, I'll just go through the whole chat and sort it out when I'm done. So I was going to talk about whether carbs are necessary to build muscle or to gain strength, because I'm actually interested in strength, so I'm not so much interested in gaining huge muscle, but to some degree those two are kind of going hand in hand. And I have chosen to not address it from all angles. I've chosen to just have a look at what the literature basically says about the insulin, because that's one thing that I might be generalizing a little bit, but bodybuilders often tend to, or people are very concerned with building large muscle. They often tend to drink milk because of the hormones, but also because of its insulinogenic effect. And they claim that they can't build muscle on a low carb diet despite eating a lot of protein. So I've had a little look at, I actually found a really good review. So I haven't actually reviewed the literature myself. But I have in the past been exercising quite a lot. And I also felt like there is a cap to how much strength I can gain. And it's been like you're going up, 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 and then you hit a plateau, and then you never get over that hump. And I've always been wondering that maybe, just maybe, my diet hasn't been optimal for strength training or strength building or muscle building, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm eating a slight bit different. For many years, I've been more of on a ketogenic diet with moderate protein and a lot of fat and vegetables, basically. Now I'm more on a lenient carnivorous diet, I would say. So I'm eating, I want to say plenty of protein, but I don't eat huge amounts of meat. I'm eating some berries every now and then. So there is some, garlic in my garlic butter, etc. So it's pretty much a ketogenic diet without the excess of vegetables and fruits and whatever you have there. I didn't actually eat fruit on the ketogenic diet, but now I'm having a bag of blueberries in the freezer because I like them. And after doing my 28-day carnivore experiment before, I figured that I don't really feel great doing it. So that's a good excuse for me to have the blueberries in the freezer. Good job, Fapnada. Keep reading my lips. And yeah, so the question is whether I need more carbs to produce more insulin in order to successfully build muscle. And there is this guy that I found, his name is John Tromelin at Maastricht University. So he's done a systematic review on whether insulin is helping with muscle building. So I'm just going to share that screen with you, and just so you can see what study that is. So this one is called, let me get it up there as well, Mechanisms in Endocrinology. It's called Exogenous Insulin Does Not Increase Muscle Protein Synthesis Rate When Administered Systematically. A systematic review. So actually, if we make that bigger, so you can actually go in here. I'm not going to go through this with you, but basically what's interesting, they have a certain selection criteria. So in the end, I think it was 40 studies that they were looking at, because they wanted to look at healthy subjects and not people who are ill in any way. So out of 2,000 studies that they found, they ended up with just 40 that actually met all the criteria. So that is what they were doing. So if you want the title, it's here. The link to this study is also in the description, and you can get the full text there for free. So just have a look at that if you're interested. And let's hop back. So what's he saying then? And it turns out that insulin alone won't actually do much for you. So if you have carbohydrates but no protein after your workout, you are at a loss. It's not going to help you at all. It's not going to make anything better. You can't build muscle without having some protein, because that's what muscle is built of. So that makes sense. However, if there are a surplus of amino acids floating around in your bloodstream that you can use, insulin will have an effect. So then the question is, what I'm interested in, okay, great, how much do we actually need? And this is where I'm a bit disappointed with the research, but I totally understand that when you do any sort of research, you want to make sure that it's actually the effect of insulin that you're looking at. So they have chosen, in all these studies, they've chosen to inject insulin. And I'm certainly not going to inject insulin. I'm hoping that is not in your interest to do that either, but that's how the studies are done. So it's not from your endogenously created insulin that we have made these conclusions, just so that you know that. Anyway, his conclusion is that no matter what dose of insulin was injected in the test subject, muscle synthesis actually went up as long as you had a surplus of amino acids. So what this is telling me is that any dose of insulin will have a muscle building effect if you have a lot of amino acids. So you need to either supplement with amino acids, or you need to eat protein to get the effect of muscle building, for insulin to have an increased effect on your muscle building. So that's good to know. We don't need a lot of insulin, apparently. Another observation that he made was that insulin lowers the amount of amino acids in the blood. And in order to stimulate your own protein synthesis, you need to have amino acids in your blood. When there is no amino acids in the blood, you will basically shut that off. So if you're not having enough amino acids, if you don't eat enough protein, and you have the insulin release, you're actually getting the opposite effect. You're shutting off protein synthesis. So that's also good to know. So if you want this to work, you need to combine it with a lot of protein. Otherwise, it won't work. So what you also saw was that some studies they had done with extreme doses of insulin, as in doses that are not produced physiologically. So you can't get them naturally. In those cases, insulin actually did stimulate most muscle protein synthesis anyway. However, you need to inject insulin to get that, but I wouldn't recommend anyone to do that. That's very, very dangerous because insulin obviously lowers your blood sugar. If your blood sugar goes down too much, you might pass out and you might die. You might get brain dead. So don't do that. It's not worth it for some biceps or whatever. So having said that, it also said that in older people, now I forgot to check, but in older people, you need a lot more insulin to get this effect at all. So I don't imagine that it applies to someone my age necessarily, or it might be a gradual decline in responsiveness, but older people will need a lot more insulin to get the muscle building effect. So unfortunately, that's part of aging, I guess. However, they are not doing any of these studies on carnivores or low carb people. They do it on normal people, just healthy subjects. So you might be all right. Who knows? And so insulin prevents muscle breakdown. That's something that is also commonly brought up as an argument for eating carbohydrates. So people might be worrying about this, that insulin has a protective effect. So not only that it builds the muscle up, it also protects it from being broken down. So what I want to tell you about this is that the effect is there from a very, very, very small amount of insulin. And you get those kind of levels of insulin just eating meat. You will always have some sort of insulin response to food unless you're just eating pure fat, which most people don't do on a regular basis anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. Any amount of insulin will be fine and will protect your muscle breakdown. So let's just recap that a bit. And I have actually prepared so I can show you this very easily. So number one, insulin on its own will not promote muscle growth unless it is at extreme doses, at those doses that you need to inject to get the effect. And we don't want to do that because that is dangerous. It might mean that you're actually killing yourself pretty much. Then insulin without a surplus of amino acids will prevent muscle growth. So if you're having a lot of insulin, but you don't have the amino acids to actually build the muscles, what insulin will do is that it will take these amino acids out of your bloodstream, store them somewhere, and you will not be able to build muscle. So that's also good to know. Insulin with a surplus of amino acids will promote muscle growth. So again, if you're eating any sort of carbs because you want to have muscle building effect, make sure that you eat a lot of protein as well. However, you don't need to eat a lot of carbs to get that insulinogenic effect because meat has an insulinogenic effect. All type of proteins will have an effect and will release insulin. And I'm going to post a video maybe next week about the insulin index. So you can check that one out when it's out. But I'm also going to show you a few numbers of how much insulin a few foods secrete in comparison to pure glucose. And I can tell you that it's maybe between 20 and 40% of glucose for most protein sources. So around that number. So you still get some insulin from that. Right. Small doses of insulin are generally as effective as larger doses. So this goes for normal healthy people, but maybe not so much for older people. So with older people, you might need a little bit more insulin to get that effect. Very small doses of insulin will also preserve muscle. So if you eat meat, you get or eggs or whatever you want to eat, you get a small amount of insulin released, you will preserve your muscle. So don't worry about that. And older people may need more insulin for my muscle building effect. So that was what I had with regards to that. So my take-home message for that would just be that, adding carbohydrates to your diet to increase your insulin in order to get stronger and get larger muscles is probably totally unnecessary. Because all proteins will to some degree stimulate a small insulin response. And what we should be focusing on is actually the good old advice of getting enough protein in after a workout. So make sure that you have all those amino acids that you need. You don't need anything else than that, really. If you want to supplement with, let's say, branched chain amino acids or something like that, it's probably okay. However, I think that just pure protein is good. Eggs, fish, meat, whatever. Don't go to the beans and legumes. I don't think that's really easily accessible or necessarily the best sort of protein. But just normal food, normal proteins. So I'm actually wondering a little bit if any one of you who are watching right now is on a zero carb diet and you do a lot of exercise. If you want to share what you are experiencing yourself, however, whether you have come from, let's say, a SAD diet or a normal diet, or if you are a previous keto person or wherever you are or were, and how that actually compares to it. Because in the end of the day, what actually counts is how we perform when we're doing it. I'm just looking at what research says. So that's that. And I also wanted to say, because I've had a few people actually donating me money by sending to my PayPal account directly. And I just wanted to tell you all that I have set up a Streamlabs page on this address. So if you want to support the stream and you want to send $1 my way, that you can do that over there. And you will find the link to that. You will find the link to the study, and you will find the links to other ways of connecting with me down in the description. So that's what you can do. And if you have any questions, you can just ask them right now. And I'm going to scroll back through this stream and see what's going on. So sound is good. Good. Necrokitty. Yay, Necrokitty is in the house. Here we go. So Harry says something interesting. North American Plains Indians did it on buffalo meat and were muscular and over 6 foot. That's quite tall. That's about 180 centimeters, I think. I'm not doing a feet in inches. I'm notoriously useless at that, and pounds and stones and that sort of thing. I lived in the UK for 10 years and I didn't get used to it. Okay. Here we go. We are many people with blueberry addictions here. Necrokitty as well. Okay. So here we go. Harry Sopanas will be live on his channel today at 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. Pacific. Thanks, Bart, for translating the time zones for us all. Right, so I'm going to read this as I put it up. So Nesra says, hi, I have to comment on nutritional effects on strength. Suboptimal nutrition with optimal training can produce incredible results. Poor weight, bronze, silver era strongman. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what sort of suboptimal nutrition he was doing, but what if he had done optimal nutrition and optimal training? Okay. I'm meat-based, don't eat any fruit now. Years ago, I fell for the rhetoric that we had to eat fruit. So glad I've learned that it is bullshit. Yeah. Cool. I welcome that myself. I like some vegetables. I'm still having like avocados every now and then, if I can find any that are good and decently priced. Obviously, the blueberries last Saturday, so that was 8 days ago, we went to the market here and I bought some fresh strawberries. So I'm still eating some of that, but when I'm eating at home, I never really cook any vegetables or anything. Yes, Harry. All bodybuilders did in steak and eggs. Yeah, exactly. Yes, everyone, hit like if you haven't. Pim, your thoughts, please, on metformin with meat only diet. So, Mandy, that's an interesting question. So, I would like to know if you need metformin when you're on a meat-based diet, or whether you are eating it for some other effect than the blood glucose effect. I might actually be inclined to do a video on this and talk about it because it's a very interesting subject. So I'm actually going to write that down now, and I'm going to. So it totally. Oh, well, I tried to write it down. I'm tossing pens all over the place. So it totally depends on what it is that you are actually asking me, because it's a little bit hard to answer this question. I don't know why you're eating it, if it has any effect on what you're doing, whether you should stop doing it or not. So give me some more details, or you have my email address, I think. Otherwise, it's pim@pimjohnson.com, or you can find it in the channel info as well, I think. So there are many ways for you to connect with me. I know that you're on Facebook as well. You messaged me there before. So you can just, let me know what it is about, and I will have a look at it. So Fapnada says, but K, nutrition science watchdog, bang on the wall so we know that you're the real one. So this will show us whether he's still watching or not. Maybe he was just in there quickly. So Necrokitty, not just me, but other carnivores I know feel better with added vitamin C in their diet. Okay. yeah. Stop. In the diet, and they're also eating some carbs. Yeah, so if you're eating carbs, you will need more vitamin C, because you need vitamin C when you're metabolizing carbohydrates. If you are a strict carnivore and you're sticking to just meat, you will get enough vitamin C in the meat that you're actually eating. But as soon as you start adding carbs, you will start needing more vitamin C. So that makes sense. Dragonfire, thank you so much, Dragonfire. I love you. You are very kind. It's a pain in the ass that you can't put that up on the screen, because you deserve a mention. You should really have a good picture of a dragon on your YouTube picture, because that's much cooler. Harry has something to say. Harry is very, very knowledgeable. So if you want to dig deep into the science and stuff, go and have a look at his live stream later today. I think that would be a good one. Harry says that taurine is an amino transport and synthesis declines with age. I have my 85-year-old data supplementing taurine. I have my 85-year-old data supplementing taurine. Is that what you mean? Dad, maybe? Oh yeah, we have a correction here. Dad. So not his data, his dad. All right, so didn't Bart K say that fat drives gluconeogenesis and not protein? You know what? Maybe he wants to address that. So gluconeogenesis, if you fat drives it, I mean you drive it with both of them. Gluconeogenesis is a process that you can use for just to produce carbohydrates. So it doesn't necessarily need to be one or the other. You can use both, I believe. Here we go. Yes, so he's answering the questions anyway. Bart said that fat is used in preference to protein for gluconeogenesis. There we go. Meat lover. That must be part of the reason why most vegans look so weedy. They don't get enough protein along with a massive insulin spike. Yeah, I think there is something to that. Obviously, they don't get enough protein. But also, I didn't actually know that just insulin on its own would prevent you from building muscle by depleting your bloodstream of amino acids. I've never really thought about it. So that could be a really valid point, that if you're eating a lot of carbs and very little protein, you don't have enough protein to, get that effect. If you ate the protein on its own without the insulin coming, or a massive insulin release, then you might get a little bit of a muscle building effect. But maybe they're doing themselves a disservice by actually eating a lot of carbs and very little protein, and that will just make everything so much worse, so much quicker. And we can talk about longevity very briefly, but talking about people on a vegan diet often wants to, live longer and and be healthier. But in the end of the day, one of the parameters that will tell you whether you are going to be healthy and live longer is whether you have a lot of muscle mass or not. So they're probably shooting themselves in the foot with that as well. In the G, shout out to creatine, blessed. Sure. Not sure what this is about. I think most do it as well to get the calories from the workout done. Have I missed something? Okay, I don't know what to say about that. Action camera, but if I eat 100 grams of fat and 50 grams of protein, will my blood glucose be higher than if I eat 50 grams of fat and 100 grams of protein? No, the opposite. But action camera, in 1.5 hours, Bart will be live on his live stream. You can go and ask him over there, and he will hopefully, if he sees it, which he probably doesn't because he's having the round table thing going on now, and I imagine that it's a bit chaotic with the questions. But if you send over $1 in, what do we call it, super chat, I'm sure he will answer your question, because then he will see it. So that's a very good way of getting that answered. But protein is what is actually insulinogenic here. So if you eat more protein, you will get more insulin. And I'm going to make another video on that as well, because it's not that simple, because meat also stimulates the opposite of insulin. What is it called? Whatever. I am having a brain freeze. So it kind of prevents itself, but you still have the insulin. So I'm going to talk a bit about that in a different video, but that will be later. Okay. Yes, so look at Sean Baker. He's 5,000 calories. That is a lot of meat. He's a big man, though. He is a very big man. And I lost the chat. I can even lose my own chat. I thought it was bot's fault. Here we go. Troy has some interesting results over the last couple of months. And some love-hate things about it. So Troy, why don't you tell us? So I can put it up on the screen, because that's interesting. Okay, so Mauro, I'm actually carnivore with a bit of cheese, but I did not have amazing results. The largest size jump in size I had during the Christmas treats. Granted, I got fatter, but also muscles got bigger. Yeah, okay, so that is always going to be the case. If you have everything in surplus, you are going to build muscle easier. So this is why bodybuilders usually get really, really fat, because that is the easiest way of building a lot of muscle. You just overload your system with a lot of nutrients, and unfortunately you don't just build muscle, but you build fat tissue as well. And then they will have to lean down, and then you don't barely see them in the gym anymore. They go down and pump a little bit, and then you see them on just walking for hours and hours, because they're trying to walk off that fat that they have built up. So what I'm wondering is that you say that you did not have amazing results. What kind of results do you expect, and how quickly do you expect them to happen? If you want things to go quicker, then you might be better off just eating badly for a while and train really, really hard, and then go and lean out for a period after that. That's probably going to be a quicker muscle growth or, in size than just doing a little bit at a time. But is it going to be healthier? Probably not. So, yeah, I think sometimes we have to. Life is a little bit of a trade off. Not everything works the way that we want it to work. For me, I mean, if I could just go and put on strength really quickly without any consequences, I would obviously do that. And as a species, we're very impatient and we just want everything to happen yesterday. So we are not prepared to wait for those results. And it's easy to be demotivated and want to give up if we don't get them very quickly. So just have a look at, sometimes it's kind of useful to start monitoring where you are right now and then actually maybe measure it in 3 months increments and see how far have you got in 3 months, for example. And you will see that there is some growth, maybe not as much as you would like it to be, but there will still be some. So I think we just need to be a little bit patient with ourselves. And I was feeling quite impatient with myself this morning because I have certain goals this year. So I have my impossible losing 15 kilos this year. I'm going to squat my own body weight. If I'm actually losing 50 kilos, I'm going to be able to do a pull-up, all those kind of things. So, and my weight loss so far during these first 12 days of the year has been a lot slower than I expected it to be. So I was very disappointed with that. But looking back, I have lost weight. It's not like I haven't. So I just imagined that it would be twice as much as it has been. But it wasn't. So apparently it wasn't meant to be. Action camera. Doesn't gluconeogenesis means more glucose, which means higher blood glucose? Yes. If you would produce that much, unfortunately, or fortunately you don't, there is a stop to it as well. So you won't be hyperglycemic from gluconeogenesis. Okay, so Bart already answered that. I'm going to stop answering those questions because he's here. No, gluconeogenesis occurs to maintain a stable blood sugar level, not to dump sugar to the blood. Yep. Here we go. Sion Drake, transition from keto to carnivore. In 3 months, I went from 120-pound max deadlift reps to 200-pound deadlift reps. Holy cow. That's really, really good. That's almost like doubling your deadlifts. So nice. I haven't done deadlifts in like 2 years. But 120 pounds? We might have been on a similar max weight. So I might have to go back in there and do some deadlifts and see if I can increase mine to 200 pounds as well. That would be so cool. I think what's giving is actually my hand strength. I've noticed that we're trying to do pull-ups. My hands are just killing me. Not saying that I'm doing crash downs right now. I'm not doing pull-ups, but my hands are really, really sore from there. So Mara says, I think that a small carb supplement after training with main meal may be good. There is a lot of anecdotal evidence on that. Quantity is not really debated there. Yeah, if you want to do that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. When I'm eating my blueberries, obviously I'm going to probably choose to do that a little bit more strategically. So I might choose to have blueberries on the days when I've been exercising after training, just so that I, if there is any effect to it, which I don't actually think it is, but if there is, then at least I will be getting the effect of it after my training, and I will optimize my training that way. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but it might be better for me to consume them then rather than having them for breakfast or whatever. Having said that, we do actually respond better to carbohydrates early in the day. So I'm not sure. Okay, so Corwin says, I experienced an increase in blood glucose after high intensity interval training or intense heavy lifting. I'm on a low-carb diet. Could an increase of blood glucose in a fasted state cause result in muscle uptake in nutrient to grow in a fasted state? The reason that you are getting an increase in blood glucose is because you are breaking down your glycogen. Because when you're exercising, especially high intensity, you will use obviously your muscle glycogen, but you will also use some of your sugar that you have in the blood for energy. Most of it will still go to the brain, but the muscles might sip a little bit of that. So to prevent you from being hypoglycemic, your liver will start to break down the glycogen stores and excrete them into your blood. So that is why you are getting an increase in blood glucose. And this is actually you in a catabolic state, so you are breaking things down. And then it takes a little while for your body to shift over to being anabolic. So it's not like as soon as you stop exercising, you will start putting muscle on. It will take a little bit. And you're usually insulin resistant right after your workouts as well. So I'm assuming that this question is with regards to whether that increase that you have when you're training is fueling an increased intake of the nutrients. And I would say probably not, because this will have to reverse itself. And then but there are studies that are saying that you're after a while after training, you're more likely to be able to store nutrients. So it's just a window of time in between this. So the fact that you are actually breaking down liver glycogen for your training is not going to impact that. Everyone does that. So bodybuilders eat a lot of chicken and rice. That's when they want to lean out. Okay, apparently the delay is only a few seconds today. I guess that was as a result of banging the wall, so he now knows. So what causes higher blood glucose if you eat more protein than fat? So, I mean, fat does not contain, if it's pure fat, it doesn't contain anything else than fat. Protein does contain, most proteins, let's say, contain tiny, tiny, tiny amounts of sort of sugars. You have a little bit of stored glycogen in the muscles, etc., that you can break down, and also a little bit of gluconeogenesis. But the gluconeogenesis is not going to produce a lot of sugar if it's not needed. There is a cap to it. I don't know where the cap is. Sorry, I don't know. How far that would go. So I donated $1 to Streamlabs. Pim doesn't have it set up correctly, just like Bart. It read, "Yay, bots get to be jealous of my donations to Pim now." Haha. So Pim doesn't have it set up correctly. Or I do. I have no idea. I want to check that out later. Whoever you're donating to, it doesn't really matter. I appreciate your support, NecroKitty. Love you. Thank you so much. You're all funny. Yes, that was very, very loud, Shell. It was probably louder than my voice in my microphone. So I had the same thought about vitamin C. Good talk. Cool. Okay, so Mandy says, would be interesting to hear a video on this. PCOS. Okay, my doctor thinks all hair fell out and very depressed, lots of mental issue and swelling, breakdown, sadly. Hello, Bart. So I'm assuming that you have had your thyroid checked completely as well. Just saying. Donna helps. Off topic. Pim, do you offer PT services or weight training programs? Donna, what I'm doing, I haven't actually been working as a personal trainer since 6-7 years ago, maybe. So I'm not quite doing that, but depending on what you need, etc., send me a message and I can see if there's anything that kind of fits in with what I'm doing right now. I might be able to give you some, free advice if that's just all that you need. Let me know what it is that you need. And I'm also on Patreon now. I haven't really put anything up yet, but there will be a lot about my journey this year, how my exercise programs, what I'm going to be doing, how it's working, my tweaking, everything about. I'm going to do some different types of biohacking and see how that works for me, do some reviews on that and advice about whether I think it's worth trying or not, and for who that might be working if it's not working for me, etc. So there will be all sorts of, things on there which are not necessarily just about cravings, which Life Without Cravings, my membership site, is just about that. So send me a message and see, let me know what it is that you're actually looking for, and maybe I can help, maybe I can't, but that's yeah, we can see. So Harry says that taurine regulates insulin release from the beta cells. Cool. I didn't know that. It's good to know, I guess. So I'm assuming that if you are insulin resistant, taurine might be useful. Okay, so Nesra says suboptimal nutrition is cafeteria food or prison food. Right. 30% or less protein, lots of carbs and veg, 3 meals a day, 10 reps of one arm handstand push-ups are incredible to me on that diet. If you can do one arm handstand push-ups, you're fucking amazing. Yes, glucagon. I knew it was gluca something. Thanks for the anti-brain freeze. Apparently, I deserve more views. Well, we all knew at some point. Maybe I will get more views in the future. All you can do is, excuse me, share my channel, like it, subscribe, tell everyone you know about it, and eventually they will appear. Yes, so good point, NecroKitty. So hair falls out, it could be having to do with the adrenals, absolutely. So not just necessarily the your thyroid, it could be your adrenals, and maybe you two should have a little chat amongst yourselves, as in, why don't you send each other a PM and discuss that? Because NecroKitty might be able to help you, Mandy. She probably knows more about that since she's experienced it than I do. Let's see what Troy has to say. So he's been lifting 5 to 6 days a week last 3 weeks. Gained 8 pounds, 5 of which is muscle. Again, another 5 pounds of muscle in 2 months prior to that. Total of 15 pounds gains and 10 pounds of muscle. Well, that's pretty good. And Troy, to be honest, I know that you want to lose fat. I know that you want to lean out a bit, but you are actually quite thin. So 5 pounds of, if it is fat, then it's going to be easy for you to get rid of that again if you want to. So I think that is pretty amazing. And apparently close to zero carb. Have some love-hate things about this process. Body composition is notably changing for the positive. Even though I gained some fat, I look a little bit better, actually. There you go. V-shape coming in. Good work, Troy. So, what does your wife think? Does she like it as well? So, leaner isn't always necessarily better. Sometimes we want to be leaner, and we want to be more defined or whatever. But sometimes it actually, when we put it on, it might come and actually sit in a good place where it looks good. Okay, Mauro. I did not train properly for 35 years, fat slob, but I trained 5 years till last December. Changed program before Christmas and noticed much more difference. Okay, so the program is much more exhausting. So it might be a combination of you eating more, like more of everything, and obviously a more intense program. So maybe you want to try that intense program, or now you already probably put on as much as you're going to put on in this little put on spurt, if you like. But maybe you want to try to do more intense training on a carnivore diet and see how that goes. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But the best thing we can do for ourselves is like you choose what your priorities are. Is your priority just pure health, or is it actually first building muscle and then prioritizing your health? So for me right now, I say I want to lose weight and I want to build strength at the same time. I've given myself a time frame of 1 year. So my first focus is actually getting some of that weight off, because that will allow me to feel better when I'm lifting, and especially when I'm trying to do pull-ups, because I'm way too heavy for me to actually do a pull-up right now. But if I manage to lose some weight, it might be a little bit easy for me to do that. So I want to get some weight off first and then build muscle. I will still do my exercise meanwhile, but I'm not trying to do both of them at the same time, because they're a bit antagonistic in many aspects. Okay. Nice tan pim. Yeah, thank you. That's because we live in Nelson now and there's actually sun here, and it takes us 10 minutes to drive down to the beach. So when it's sunny, on most days, even just after work, we might go there for an hour or half an hour, walk the dogs, maybe have a sit around. It's perfect. Cinco says IF is okay to keep muscle mass, intermittent fasting. Yes, that's fine. It's not going to be a problem. The only problem is that if you are doing an IF and you eat one meal a day, for example, you might not be able to eat enough food. Or if you eat for a period of 6 hours, so you actually squeeze 2 or 3 meals in during those 6 hours, it's going to be a lot easier to do. You're obviously going to get a slightly shorter fasting time, but that will be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would worry more about whether you are actually getting enough nutrients in while you're eating. And if you feel like intermittent fasting isn't working in combination with muscle building, then you probably need to just up your protein intake or food intake in general. Do I have any new projects? Will I be publishing any new papers? No, not really. Um, I'm working right now. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I was about to say, my role is product development technician for working with fish oils, but I'm not really doing that right now. So I'm actually looking into and trying to develop methods to analyze or detect mineral oils with gas chromatography, and that's all I have, and that's not enough, unfortunately. So I'm kind of busy with that, and then I have my own life, so not doing any research. Research is interesting. Paper writing is not so interesting to me, to be honest. It's something that you do because you're supposed to be doing it, but doing the research, I really enjoy that. Writing it up, not so much. Necro says, Mandy, we can talk about it in detail if you join Bart's Discord. I'm NecroKitty on there too. I find people on Discord who really help me. Thank you, NecroKitty. I bet that's super helpful. Thank you so much for offering to help her. I think this is why we're doing this. It's not just for me to kind of put some information out there, I mean, which is great. I want you to also go and look into this paper yourself and make yourself, your own assessment of what that means and how that works for you, obviously. But the thing is that it draws people together that have similar interests, and then you can share whatever you know amongst yourselves as well, because this is obviously something that you have experience with and that Mandy could actually benefit from. So that's great. Thank you so much. Pim, you should take on the Charlatan Bot K. That might help get more viewers. I think I might do that. So I'm not sure he's actually up for it, because I've heard that he's sort of like a coward and he's just being super aggressive and not really debating. He's just no, science doesn't say anything. So I'm not really sure he's up for that. But if he is, maybe you want to tell him, but he can send me an email and he can schedule a meeting with me and I'll take him on. Have yourself or Bart looked at any of the programs they have been pushing out in the UK, like Apocalypse Cow? I'm just laughing because I have no clue what that is, but I'm going to write that down as well, unless I drop this pen as well. Apocalypse Cow. So yeah, I'm gonna have to have a look at what that actually is, because I have no clue. And I don't think Bart has a clue either. Troy, wife likes it, libido going up. For you or for her? She likes the body. Does cheese stunt weight loss? Can absolutely do for some people. It could be because it's inflammatory. It could be that it's just a lot of calories in cheese. It's really easy to snack on cheese and eat a lot of it. So there are many reasons for that, but the two big things that usually prevent people from losing weight on a keto diet is cheese and nuts. And I think it has a lot to do with the snackability and the high energy content in those two. So if you were just having a tiny bit of cheese every now and then, I don't think it's going to matter that much, unless you're very sensitive to it and get a reaction to it. So I'm fascinated by Drake and the deadlifts. Corrected posture during deadlifts. I feel much stronger on carnivore, beaten all personal records since going carnivore. That's so great. I mean, it might not just be that the increased. I'm assuming that you're increasing your amount of protein, because that is all that you're eating, but also, it could be that your body is so much healthier, you're able to make those neural connections better, you're better functioning because you don't have all that inflammation that is kind of preventing you from getting the results that you could have got on the previous diet as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to just be with the protein. It could just be a general health thing that you're feeling better and functions better on all kind of levels that allows you to lift heavier and then obviously as a result gain the strength. So that's super cool. Troy, if change to add the muscle gain was adding in whey protein shakes after lifting, I noticed difference in results, even though I eat a ton of protein. Okay. What I would probably do myself is, obviously I'm not doing well with whey protein, but I would probably rather supplement with branched chain amino acids, just because they come in the form that you want them in. But many people do use like protein powders, but if it works, it works. Keep doing it. Get fatter. No, I'm just kidding. You'll be fine. Meat lover, do I drink coffee? I know Bart does did. I drink a couple of cups a day of plunger coffee with pure cream, one when I wake and another mid-morning. No, I don't drink coffee. I never used to drink coffee. Then maybe, let's say 4 years ago, I started drinking bulletproof coffee in the mornings because it was really easy to do when I was working. I could just make some bulletproof coffee and it would keep me full until lunch, and then I could have my lunch, and that worked really well for me. Then I switched over to, because in the end of that, I don't really like coffee that much, so I had to have a lot of stevia in. But then I started to switch over to egg coffee, which is amazing. It tastes like coffee custard. I love that. but also again, I have a lot of stevia in there as a sweetener. And I just decided that, I want to cut out the sweetness, and if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to drink egg coffee. So it's like I wouldn't drink it without the stevia personally. Other people might. So I stopped drinking coffee maybe in, I can't even remember when that was. August, July? I have no idea. Several months ago. Stopped, went cold turkey. I'm not a person who is addicted to coffee. I can drink a lot of coffee. I can still sleep. I don't get addicted to it. I don't get headaches when I quit. It's just like any beverage to me. Now, having said that, my coffee isn't super strong, but I used to drink about a liter a day because that's what my coffee plunger made. So I just drank it all because it was there. So, no, I don't drink coffee right now. However, the last week I have had egg coffee cravings 2 or 3 times. I don't know where they came from, but it's just been in my head and it's just popped up. Like, that would be really nice. But if I do go and buy it, I will have to buy a pack. And if I have a pack, I'm going to have to drink the whole thing. So I'm not doing that, I don't think. Okay. Dum, dum, dum. Trying to understand what's going on here. Okay, so they're really pushing a lot of this sort of thing in the UK. So many different so-called documentaries. Is that the Apocalypse Cow? Nectar Kitty. I have been depression-free for over 2 months now. I did more than carnivore for that. The hair loss, I'm not sure I can help with. I'm trying to figure out that one too. Okay. So Nectar Kitty, have you had your thyroid checked? Might be something. I don't know. And I know you've been talking about weight loss and etc. as well. And if that's slow and you're losing weight, if you have dry skin, all those kind of things, it might be something with your thyroid. Right. Oh God. Ooh, it's on now, bitch. So apparently, I'm taking this as if Bart K has accepted my challenge. So we're gonna have to have a debate. We're obviously gonna have to decide on a subject to do, and I guess we'll do it live because that would be more interesting, wouldn't it? Yes. Is he gonna rip me a new one? Is the question. So, does acerola from cherries have benefits over synthetic vitamin C, ascorbic acid? Um, okay, so I do think that when you are consuming like whole berries or whatever, if that's just ground down berries, the absorbability might be better. Having said that, the ascorbic acid looks the same, the molecule is the same. So I'm not 100% convinced that that is the case because in the end of the day, we only absorb as much vitamin C as we can. If you're taking too much vitamin C, you're gonna get the shits. So it's not like we can absorb more and store it, but it might be that if the absorbability is better from these berries, then you might be able to absorb more. But the question is, why do you want to do this? How much vitamin C do you imagine that you need? So if you are eating some fruit and veg because you want to do that, and then your main diet is actually meat-based, I think you will be fine. I don't think you are going to need more than what you're actually getting. And the question is, why do you want more? Do you want more because you think you need it, or do you want more because you're actually experiencing something that is not feeling good? Do you have signs of scurvy or whatever? So ask yourself why you want to do that. It might just be a waste of money. So they use metformin to treat PCOS, although I am insulin resistant, insulin resistant, I guess I should say. She says, yes, all checks done for hair is a puzzle. Okay. Yes, I can't really help you with that, but as I said, I will at some point look into this and I will do something on metformin because even though I'm talking about exercise today, it's still kind of related to carbohydrates. And what I'm trying to do is getting people off the carbohydrates because I'm a sugar addict and it's just totally destroying everything in my life. And being a sugar addict, even if I have been eating well my whole life, I've always either been eating keto treats or I've been eating sugar on top of that. And that's never ever going to be good for my performance. So my work here is trying to help people be healthy. So that's what I'm talking about, a bit different things. Plus, it's obviously something that I'm doing right now, so it's kind of interesting to me. And a lot of people, since they're coming over from Bart's channel, actually are interested in that as well. So I'm kind of widening my topic, I guess. We'll see how that goes. Whether that is a good thing or if it's a bad thing, I don't know. Do I drink any types of tea? No, I don't. I don't like tea. I have a couple of like a peppermint tea and something else in the cupboard, and I might have a cup of that every 3 months or whatever. It's not like I ever crave it. I mostly drink snake juice. Yes, I am boring as hell. What's my opinion on aspartame? I had 2 bottles of zero carb tonic, but my gut got really fucked up after it. Are you sure it's the aspartame that fucked it up? Something that fucks mine up is what's it called again? I can't really remember. So I was up at 5:30 this morning. Maybe I can blame that. I don't know. It's not aspartame. It's the other one. It's the NutraSweet, whatever is in there. I can't remember what it is right now. So aspartame, I mean, it's entirely possible that that is fucking your gut up, but aspartame is probably one of the worst sweeteners. So if you can avoid that, please do so. I avoid such sweeteners, artificial sweeteners. I just avoid them like the pest. I do not touch them. When I do any sort of sweeteners that are non-caloric, I do stevia or erythritol, which might have a slight bit of calories in it, but it's not like xylitol, which actually do have quite a bit. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing any sort of artificial sweetness. It's not good. Please don't. Yes, so Necro Kitty. Necro, if you do that, try to find, because you're in the US, you have all sort of cool things. Try to find someone who's really specialized on it, who knows a lot about what to check for, not just, T4 and your thyroid stimulating hormone, what those levels are. Also look for the antibodies and the reverse T3 and all of those things. Make sure that you find someone who will check for everything. Is magnesium necessary? Yeah. So yes, absolutely. I cannot really supplement with it in my snake juice. You could potentially, that's one of those things that you could actually supplement with on a carnivore diet, because in the end of the day, how much magnesium you're getting from your meat depends on how much magnesium is in the grass that your cows ate, or if you're eating grain fed, how much magnesium was in the grains. So yeah, magnesium is good. I think that is one of the things that I would supplement with if I was going to just go for something, because that is probably something that most people might be deficient in. Hi Gung Fu, no roller jokes tonight. Cool. And Tjenare Pim, that's Swedish. For those of you who don't know, I'm Swedish. And now I can actually see your picture as well. Cool. Okay, so let's see what Necrokitty has to say. I saw a video that had sugar and all the artificial sweetness mixed with active yeast. All of them had a reaction, even stevia. Water had no reaction. Yeah. That's very interesting. So I'm wondering, I'm gonna find that video, I think, because I think I've heard about it before. I'm wondering what's going on there a little bit. I've actually done an experiment on stevia, and I'm going to post that at some point as well. So I have lots of video ideas and things I'm going to post, but I'm not going to do what Bart is doing and just post one every day because I'm so bloody busy. So that when I'm getting them done, I'm going to space them out. Sorry. Okay, what does Anathem 7 has to say? Does data from epidemiology exaggerate the adverse effects of sedentary, or is it really that bad? And would walking a few minutes every 20 to 30 minutes all day be a valid form of prevention? So we are made to, our bodies are made for movement. We're not made for sitting still. So walking a few minutes every 20 to 30 minutes all day would probably be a really, really good thing. And what you can do if you are able to, just, do some jumping jacks or some squats or something that actually gets your blood pumping. Because what you want to do, a lot of the things are like when you have, like, when your lymph isn't really moving, you're going to feel more sluggish. Your all processes are going to go slower. So it's always good to keep everything moving. So you can do that, absolutely. I think that's a very good thing. How to deal with dark and cold weather? I don't know, Bill. I fucking hate it. I don't like dark much. Well, dark is okay, I suppose, but not when it's all day long, like it is in Sweden in winter. Probably right now it's probably very dark. Cold weather, not my favorite. I really, really do like sunshine. I really like moderate heat. Around 25 degrees is good, not too hot. I've always been cold, so maybe there's something, like I'm born with a low thyroid, but I have never done an excessive thyroid panel from someone who actually knows what they're doing. On the standard test, my thyroid is fine, but I have always been cold. My mom used to open the windows in the middle of winter when it's like minus outside, and I'm sitting there shivering, and she's fine. So there's something wrong there, and I just don't like the cold. I can get layers and layers of clothes on, and I'm still cold. So that's something that I clearly have a problem with. Having said that, it does get better. It's not ideal, but it does get better when I'm on a low carb diet. Unless I am also in calorie deficit, because then it's getting worse again. So there's something going on there, whether it's my thyroid or just my whole body just not being efficient. I don't know. Yes, so movement is important, but too much can also be catabolic. So yeah, too much, especially if we're talking about going to the gym and lifting heavy, and you keep doing that every day, that's going to be very catabolic. Because every time you go there, you're literally destroying your muscles. You're breaking them down. That is what is making you stronger, because when they build up again, they are going to repair themselves to be stronger than they were before, so that the next time you add that sort of weight, they will not break. That's how it works. But if you are training 6 times a week, the same muscles, you will never allow them to fully heal and build up again. And that way, you're going to lose muscle mass and become much weaker over time. So that's not a good thing. Just walking is never really going to have that effect. You're going to have to do a lot of walking for that. And a few minutes every 20, 30 minutes, fine. How is life in Nelson? Life in Nelson is pretty good. Today it's kind of a bit cloudy, a bit sunny, a little bit of both. Last week hasn't been great. There has actually been a little bit of rain. It's been a bit of clouds, and it hasn't been super warm, but it's been about 20, 21 degrees maybe. As compared to the week before, we were up to 25, 26. That was beautiful. From Tuesday and onwards, I think it's going to be really, really good again. Not as warm, but still good. So yeah, it's pretty good. I've been swimming in the ocean twice so far, and yeah, life's good. Okay, what question is this? Pim, in your opinion, is everything on the body necessary, or are there some parts, components that, until natural selection stopped affecting us, were on the process of disappearing? Like your appendicitis, you mean, or were on the process of disappearing? I don't know if there's anything else. Would be interesting to see if someone else has an opinion or knowledge about that. Okay, so Nick says, if a person has MCADD, is it best they stick to high protein and medium carbs and almost zero fat? I don't know what MCADD is. Sorry, Nick. Get back to me and tell me what it is. I have no clue. So when you're asking questions, it's really good if you can be as specific as possible and explain, if you're using acronyms, please let me know what they are, unless they are very common. Magnesium gives me severe fat. So yeah, okay. There are different types of magnesium if you're supplementing with it. So magnesium, anything's ending with ATE, so magnesium citrate is usually semi-good, but many people actually do get upset stomach from it. Malate is supposed to be good. There are lots of them, so different kinds are absorbed to different rates, and if you can't absorb them, they will be very laxative. So be a little bit, careful with how much you're taking of it. If you're getting that effect, you might want to stop doing it. Biglycinate is supposed to be very absorbable, I think, and very good. So yeah, keep that in mind and see what sort of magnesium is it that you're actually consuming. Maybe you should just change to a different type of magnesium. I'm worried about losing too much fat on a low carb diet. Will the fat loss stabilize? I'm glad I made it in time. Well, I'm glad you're here. Losing too much fat on a low carb diet. I mean, where are you now? What's the problem? How little fat do you have? And you don't have to keep losing fat. We're talking about that calories in, calories out is not, not valid. But in the end of the day, the amount of energy that you use compared to the amount of energy that you put in will have to be in balance. The amount that you're using depends on what sort of energy you put in. So it's not about the amount of calories, it's more about how much you are getting out of that and how that affects your body. So in the end of the day, you can overeat or undereat on a low carb diet. So if you're not eating enough, you're going to keep losing weight. If you make sure that you're eating enough of whatever you're eating, you're probably not going to lose more fat. But if you keep losing fat, you're not eating enough. So the question is a little bit strange, because I'm just wondering, like, how lean are you? What is the problem here? And if it's let me know, and I'll try to answer it better. The vitamin C question was on behalf of my sibling. She's undergone chemo, and I like to supplement her with some vitamins. What else could she benefit from? I'm wondering. Hang on. I'm just going to leave the screen for a second and see if I can find it quickly. So I haven't read this book in years. I read this one when my dad was ill, because he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. But this book is actually quite interesting. If you want to, so that's the author, Dr. Steve Hickey and Dr. Hilary Roberts. If you want to do high dosing vitamin C, I would probably, if you can, you could do it intravenously, but otherwise you could do liposomal vitamin C. That's probably your best option to get high absorption of vitamin C, if that's what you're after. How's my new work? You're still working at the laboratory. I thought I'd just talk about work. So yes, I do. I work at, so where I used to work, they have two labs. One is a quality control lab where I used to work, and now they have another lab which is kind of a lab. It's pretty much newly set up, so it's more like lab storage space, whatever. And that's going to be more, basically there's not, it's a large area but not so much space to do whatever they're doing at quality control, and I'm mostly doing things like GC, gas chromatography. There's some other things there, and possibly I'm going to be trying to develop new products, but I'm not really sure. We're going to have to get new equipment for that. So at the moment, I really don't know what I'm doing quite, or will be doing. It's all a bit up in the air and new and exciting at the same time as it's like what is actually happening. So it's cool. Apparently my thumbnails are really cool. Good. I'm glad you like them. Okay. So what's about xylite? I don't know if it's the same one as, would that be xylitol? Xylitol is used to be referred to as birch sugar because they used to extract it from birch trees. So they kind of cut them up and then collected the thing, and you just extracted that and you got xylitol. Now, nowadays, a lot of the xylitol in the market comes from corn, and it has energy in it. It is insulinogenic, and it will raise your blood sugar to some degree, not as much as sugar, so it's a sugar substitute. Be careful with that though, because dogs cannot tolerate it. What happens if a dog is eating it is that they will get an insulin response, but they can't metabolize it, so the insulin will go up, your blood sugar will go down, or the dog's blood sugar will go down, and they will die. Same thing as if what I was talking about earlier, if you inject too much insulin, you're gonna die. So don't give it to your dogs. I can answer this. Hi Bart, is there a reason for the fewer updates lately? Yes, he was down working on our house in Greymouth during the week. Oh my god, I didn't. You were streaming. I feel like I'm missing out now. Your channel is belled. No missing streams anymore. Lol. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate that. I did um I did schedule this 1.5 days ago, but I don't know if that is actually going out on anyone's email or whatever when you are actually scheduling it. But what I want to say is that every Sunday, the same time, starting 1 hour and 17 minutes ago, I'm going to be streaming unless I'm on holiday or whatever. So I will be here same time every Sunday, so you know when I'm here. So even if you don't know that I'm on, you know that I'll probably be here. Ah, yes. So, Pim, are you a fan of standing desks? Could you elaborate why? Yes, I am, because I have a standing desk, but at the moment it's kind of broken, so I have to sit down after the move. I used to stand up all the time. I don't like sitting. I kind of get like stiff and sore everywhere, and my hips are getting tight. And I just like standing. It feels better. I think sitting is probably the worst position that you can be in for any sort of health. You would just restrict everything, and you will get tight hips. And if you get tight hips because you're sitting all day, you're going to get a weird posture, etc. So it's not really ideal. Okay. Sorry, but I spoiled it. I already told. Yes, so for magnesium, I use Epsom salt in my snake juice. I take it at half or equal amounts to my potassium. No poo-poo for me, but it's different for people, it seems. Yes, so I have tried to half the dose, and I think I tried to quarter the dose. Doesn't matter. It just goes straight through me. I feel shit, and I'm just ending up on the toilet. So for me, putting magnesium or sulfate or Epsom salt, which is the same thing, in my snake juice does not work. No way. Chemo and antioxidants aren't a good combo, but keto can be protective to healthy cells and add to the stress of chemo on the cancer cells. Yes, so when it comes to chemo and antioxidants, etc., if you're going to do that, you don't want to do it before chemo, because then you will prevent the effect a bit. So, do it after. There are lots of people that are kind of really good at this kind of thing that are out there. So just, find someone who's actually specializing in it and see, what they recommend, when you should do what, etc. Jimmy Baker, I'm in Sweden right now, and the weather forecast is rain for the next 2 weeks, and it rained the past week as well. Oh yes, that sounds more like November than January, but I feel for you, Jimmy. Got to get out of this country. Well, the thing is that if you go to New Zealand in the winter and then you go back to Sweden in summer, I think you have a good combination there, because Swedish summer, when it's good, it's unfortunately it's not long enough, but when it's good, it's really good. And my voice is getting crap. It's so rare to hear people talking about lifting light, training for form and nerve development like precise muscle control and antagonistic muscle relaxation. Heavy weights do look better though. I think there's room for both. So I think when you want to build up, the neural connections, I think you can absolutely go light and probably go very slow to actually just teach your muscles what to do. So if you want to practice something, if you are if you're a rehab program, or if you need to build some. So for me, with squatting, for example, I never been able to squat perfectly, as in keeping my body posture right, etc. So I should probably do a lot of just body weight squatting in the right position, but I need to know that it's the right position and get my neurons aligned to that so that they know what to do when I'm lifting heavy. Lifting light weights for toning, I do not believe in that whatsoever. I think it's bullshit. I think you're better off lifting heavy, but for training purposes, as in teaching your body what to do, yes, go light. Go light weights as a means of progressing to the heavyweight, fine. But staying there and always doing that, nah, not so much. Eating pizza when you're watching my live stream, disgraceful. Dairy, good or bad for bone health? I do not know. I do not think that it's good for bone health. I don't think it's necessary for bone health. Do I think it's bad for bone health? Probably not, especially not if it's raw dairy or, as little processed as possible. Is there a reason that you need to increase your bone health? If there is, I think you should go, load your bones, as in do heavy exercise of some kind, some impact. If you can do jumping, etc., that will help you. Just getting all sorts of minerals, because your bones are not just calcium, it's phosphorus and it's magnesium, and then you have calcium, and there are lots of minerals in there. So you need a good mix of them all. So not just doing dairy for the calcium, for example, is not kind of valid. Steve, hi Steve. I have missed you. Where have you been? Sunshine all the time makes the dessert. Yes. Okay, what are some good ways to repair muscles that have been cut in surgery, like building back abdominal strength? Good question. So, how long ago was it? So, the thing is that if you just leave it and you do nothing, you're probably gonna grow back in a very weird way, but then if you start too early, you might do too much too early and you might do damage. So I would really, really want you to speak to like a physiotherapist that is kind of specializing in this, because I don't really want to tell you something and then that is wrong and doesn't work for you. So sorry, I don't think that is not really my expertise. So I don't want to give you any advice that might be wrong in that sort of area. Sorry. Okay, so medium chain acyl CoA dehydrogenase genetic disorder. Whew, okay, so whether a protein-rich diet would be better with that. Now I have to think about the cycles here. I need to read up about my biochemistry again, clearly. Nick, I can't really answer your question right now. I will, however, write this down. Oh, wait. So excuse my slow writing. I will write that down. And if you are here next Sunday, give me a shout out and I will see if I have found out about it by then. So I will have to postpone that a week. Yeah, so if you want some sun, you can go to South Africa. That sounds a little bit too hot for me, to be honest, but it's all good. Hi, Pim. Can fish cause inflammation? Can it cause inflammation? If you don't tolerate fish for whatever reason, yeah, sure, it can. If it's really heavily contaminated with, you know, metals or whatever other toxins, sure. But just, the protein, probably not so much. So this is a really hard question to answer because it totally depends. So what I would say is that, if you are eating fish and it always makes you feel really bad after that, what you could do is try to do something that this is like a trick. You could add some like chlorella or spirulina or something in a supplement form, which will bind to toxins and especially heavy metals, and eat that at the same time and see if that makes a difference. If it does, it's probably because the fish is contaminated. But I would rather you just went and got some better quality fish if that's the case. But that's one way of doing it, I guess. Okay. So with regards to magnesium, glycinate does great for necrokitty and malate too. And yeah, warm Epsom salt gives me diarrhea. Yeah, Epsom salts is not the best absorbable form of magnesium. You're so caring and absolutely full of knowledge. Many thanks. I don't know if that was for me or for necrokitty, but I think we're both grateful for the comment. Thank you, Mandy. Let's see then. God, we have lots of questions today. I wasn't going to be going on for this long. Steve, I need a job. Are they hiring? I'll move. I don't care. So, Steve, what is your profession? They do hire some people sometimes for different roles. Let me know what your profession is. They do also do work visas there, so it's entirely possible. Do I recommend you do your monthly shopping at Walmart, Costco, or Trader Joe's? I have no idea. I'm in New Zealand. I I can't really comment on any of them. When I was in the UK, I did some shopping at Costco's, but I wasn't so, you know, overly concerned about the quality of the meat, etc. So sorry, I can't help you. I'm in the wrong part of the world for that. I don't know what they have at Mall. I've never been to Walmart or Trader Joe's ever in any country. Miss Pagan, I'm sorry. You can rewatch the first 20 minutes or something if you want to see what I was actually talking about. Apparently, I need to be shadow banned. Do I sit down when I eat? Yeah, I sit down when I eat. Uh, is iron overload from red meat a real thing? Heard Frankie ranting on about it. Okay, so I don't think that is a problem for most people, and you can have different genes that just don't allow you to, well, that allows you to absorb too much iron, but really you should not be doing that. If you get too much of it, it should be going out again. If it's a real thing, yes, probably for some people. I haven't really read up too much about it recently. So from what I know, I would not, if you're eating a normal carnivore diet, I don't think many carnivores are actually suffering from this. If you have a problem, if you're not, if you're not menstruating or if you're male, maybe slightly, depending. If you're worried, you can just go and have everything checked if that's a problem. It should be a very simple blood test. You can check your ferritin levels, you can check your blood count and your hemoglobin and your iron levels and everything, and just see what's going on there. But I don't worry about it for myself. If I were you and you had no reason to suspect that you have iron overload, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay. Look, Pim, I love your video on cream. As a pro-dairy person, it's interesting to know more about how its products behaves on the body. Yes. I mean, I was surprised myself, actually, a bit. But, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Scheduling doesn't always show up. I'm subscribed to hundreds of channels. Yes, you're a little YouTube whore, aren't you? It's fine. Just know that I'm here. Every Sunday, 1.5 hour earlier than to right now. Any thoughts on BFR? I'm not finding much info. Is it more of an aesthetic bodybuilding thing? BFR. What the hell is BFR? I'm gonna Google it. The Big Falcon Rocket. I don't think that's what you meant. I'm not really sure what. Am I missing something here? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Okay, so it's been over a year after C-section. Just want to build back my core strength. The thing is that when I used to work as a personal trainer, I had a colleague that was actually specializing in that. So I used to always just send all people asking about that to her. So I've never really looked into that and what's actually best practice. You don't want to do like straight sit-ups, that's for sure. But I don't really know. I'm so sorry. I feel like I should know it just because I've been working as a personal trainer for years, but I don't know what the best thing to actually do is. If you are kind of fully healed and everything is fine, I think you can just, start doing whatever. It's a year. But sometimes people are not quite healing that well. But I know that you're eating well, so I imagine that you have actually healed quite well. So you could probably do just anything like core strengthening. Is it bad to eat fish from a tin? I hear there's like poison in the tin. Yes. Okay. So I used to say it's probably all right if you don't do it too often. And I'm still saying that. I mean, there's probably, some people want to be very extreme with pretty much everything they do and do everything right. And in that case, don't do it. But for most of us, if you are going to eat fish in a tin like once a month or every couple of weeks, you're probably okay. We have a liver. The liver will take care of a lot of things. It will detox your system. It's probably not going to be a huge problem. If you're someone who is very ill already or have a lot of problems, then maybe you want to stay away from that. So it's not ideal, probably. You have obviously all the things from the tin, and I recently did a video myself. It was actually on as a guest on Bart's channel about food packaging, or especially from cardboard, but I do talk about tins as well, because when they create these tins that the fish come in, they use lubricants, and that is mineral oils, and they can actually get stored in your body and cause a lot of trouble, whether they are aromatic or not. So they could cause cancer, or they could just, be stored in your organs and then cause the inflammation there. So that's obviously not a good thing. However, I couldn't read the whole paper of one of those papers that I was looking at, but someone sent it to me, and I have since read it, and it turns out that a, a lot of the time, sure, you will get mineral oils from the tin, but a lot of the mineral oil, a lot of the time, is coming from the fish itself. So the fish that we're actually getting is contaminated already. So unfortunately, you can't really avoid it because most fish contains mineral oils anyway. So is it a lot worse to eat from a tin? Maybe a little bit. So you will have to make a judgment call on whether you think it's worth it or not. I personally try to not eat many things out of tins at all. I just eat, fresh foods. Okay. Uh, okay, Nesra says, check out calisthenics progressions for squats. Convict Conditioning is a great book for some pointers for anyone who's interested. Okay, thank you. That's good. Immanuel, not that I'm anti-vax, but how come that so many humans need to be injected with something that wouldn't be found in nature to survive? My question is, what would we do without them? Without them, some people would die very early on in life. We would not have as many people in the society that we have today, probably. We wouldn't have as many old people as we do. And we certainly wouldn't have as many children as we do. Or we might produce more children, but we wouldn't have as many alive as we do. And people would probably, in general, be healthier. So if you look at a societal perspective, you will probably have a much healthier population that is able to withstand the disease much better than we are today, because they have had to in order to survive. That's how evolution works. So there. Nick, thanks, Pim. Really enjoying these live shows and your channel. Well, I'm glad you do. So I hope you will be here when I hopefully can answer your question next week. Oh, are silicone cooking utensils also full of toxins like standard plastics, phthalates? I don't know. Maybe someone else knows. Maybe Harry knows. I do not know. I do have some silicone stuff. I have like silicone molds of different kinds, and I actually have what do you call it? Like a brush thingy. But I don't use them anyway. But I have them. Do we hire people with good people skills, no academic degree? No. And yes, depending, I mean, we have office staff, but we don't hire them just for people skills. I'm afraid you need to have some sort of skills in the area that you want to work, I'm afraid. 3 years work experience at Walmart. Well, clearly that has nothing to do with my workplace at all. If you wouldn't be able to get a work visa with that, I'm afraid. So I don't know where in the world you are. If you're in the US, you might be able to get might be able to apply for yourself for a work visa. What you can do is that you can try to apply for a job in New Zealand. And if you get that, then you can get your work visa and you can come over and you might be able to stay or not when that expires. Meat Clover, this is first live stream of yours that I've seen. You have a nice relaxed style. Thanks. I'm always nice and relaxed. That's my trademark, I guess. I'm just laid back. I've heard that my whole life, which is quite funny because when I used to work as a personal trainer, you imagine someone standing there shouting at people, and that's never been my style. So I used to get all these. I like to explain things, and I like for people to do things right and be supportive. So I used to get all these older people coming to me because they liked how I was explaining things and I was patient with them. And yeah, it's quite funny because when you're a new personal trainer, in your head you're like really fired up and you want to do things and you would love to train other athletes because you think you know so much, etc. And then I ended up with a lot of old people, which was great because they are awesome. But it's just funny how things go. Your series on sugar cravings was really good. Didn't see all of it, as I don't have any sugar cravings anymore. Nonsense going very low carb. I'm sure it will help many people. Oh, thank you. That's great. It might not interest you, but I have a short mini series on my free membership site about sugar cravings and how to get rid of them, etc. If anyone's interested in that, which is much more informative and more in depth than whatever whatever the sugar series I posted on YouTube. Nick says, I found on carnivore, if I stay clear of organ meat, my iron levels much more stable if the carbs added is started to increase a lot quicker. But I do have a faulty gene. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So you might not want to eat, if you have a problem, you might not want to opt in for liver, for example, because it's very rich in iron. Thanks, Pim. It was just fresh cod and bought from specialist fish shop that is meant to sell daily catch. So did you feel okay doing that? Okay, so Bart said, Pim, blood flow restriction. I'm not really sure why we were talking about that. Because obviously I don't see these comments exactly when I'm talking. They're quite delayed. Necrokit says, I'm a YouTube whore too. 800 plus channels I'm sub to. I know that's why I don't already get notifications. Holy crap, 800? That's a lot. That's funny. I'm on YouTube. I was a bit resistant on going on YouTube at all because I don't really watch YouTube that much. I watch an occasional video here and there, and people always thinking that I'm watching every single video that Bart has made, and most of you guys are probably watching many more videos than I have. I've watched a few selection of them that interests me. Otherwise, just go in and say, hey, what were you talking about? And he tells me in 3 words, and I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, we're all different. Let's see. Maybe jittery from coffee. I almost never drink it, so it has a lot of effect. That's cool. I have never got any effect from coffee ever. So he also says, We live in unnatural situations, too much people close up and easy travel across long distances. Vaccines are a way to use nature against itself. Yeah, this is true. The reason that, I mean, when we have things that allows us to survive, when we wouldn't naturally, we we're able to live under these strange conditions that we wouldn't necessarily do otherwise. I need to check up on the silicon polymerization process, but it's one the best cooking materials. I think it's very heat chemical resistant and it's a good barrier, so it shouldn't leach much. No, good. I wouldn't have thought so, but no, I never know. So thanks, Luke. Could it be that the current health epidemic we are suffering is a consequence of stepping away from natural selection? Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. We, when we have all of these diseases that people would have died from as infants, then we need to take care of them. They're not going to be healthy. And when they have some sort of, health disability, if you like, then they also invite other things to be going on. And the older they get, the more things you're going to get happening. And with all the unnatural foods that we have, also causing a lot of trouble, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing these channels at all. So it's not just about the natural selection and stepping away from that. It's about everything that is. I mean, as a human species, we want to improve our lives. We want to make things easy. We want to create or grow, generate as much food as we can for as many people as possible to survive, and we can do that with wheat. That was easy, for example. But the quality is like quantity over quality. If you want to have quality people, you're not going to have as many people. If you want to have quantity, you're not going to have the quality. So it's the same concept. Is we have more sick people, we have more people eating crap food because there's not as much quality food available, or there wasn't. Now, when we know better that it's not just about the calories to make someone survive, we want to have quality in our lives as well, then we could actually turn things around and start producing food that is more quality if we wanted to. But we're already made ourselves as a society addicted to all these processed foods, and the kids growing up today, they don't really get, many of them don't really get any natural foods. They just get all this crap that is manufactured and doesn't taste anything like normal food. So they're never gonna have tasted it, and then someone says, here, taste a piece of steak, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So every man for himself or every woman for himself, just we have to make sure that we are getting whatever is best for us. And with all these carnivore channels and whatever, what we're trying to do is spread information so that you can make an informed decision and make the best possible choice for you, so that you can be as healthy as possible. And the more information is out there, hopefully the earlier it's going to reach people when they're growing up as well, so that, or even parents, hopefully, so that they can change how things are actually looking and what's happening. Thanks for your knowledge and honesty, Pim. This has been great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here we go. Thomas, silicon polymers, ring opening polymerization of octamethyl cyclotetrasiloxane, then usually has a vinyl end cap. Hi Pim, please say hi to Bart from me. Yes, I will. So, okay. I'm not sure what further knowledge we got from that, but that is what silicon polymers are, and maybe he's going to post something more. But yes. So that was actually the last comment there. I think I did pretty well, but it was a little bit. I was thinking we would be here for an hour. Last week was an hour 15 minutes. Now it's a bit longer, but actually we had some more people there in the middle. Now we're 29 online. So if you haven't given the video a thumbs up, please do so. I would really appreciate that. And again, if you want to support the channel, you can do so. You can just, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, share it with everyone you know, watch all my videos, leave comments, do all that sort of thing. And as I said earlier, I have set up now so that if you want to, you can donate money to Streamlabs just to support what I'm doing. Don't tell my boss, but down the line, I want to quit my job, obviously, but I can't afford it right now. So that would just allow me to, have something to stand on and go that way. So whatever way you can, it doesn't have to cost you any money. It's not a requirement. It's just appreciated if you feel for it. So other than that, there's a new comment here. Looks like I will miss most of Bart's stream. Wow, I'm going to hang out with my friend with the sick dad. You know what, Necrokitty? You can watch the stream back. What's actually important in life is the people around us. And I think a lot of the time we are so much on social media or engrossed in something that is just artificial. So when we're talking about natural things, I think the most important thing is like nurture your real life connections. Spend the time with people that are in your proximity because they are there, and just like enjoy that, and don't worry so much about the being on someone's live stream live every week. You can watch it back. I mean, I appreciate that you're here, and it's great. It's great that I can talk to you and that you're there, supporting me and asking questions. It's awesome. But also don't forget to actually live a life outside of the screen. Harry says, see a pimp shared you earlier on Facebook. Thank you so much, Harry. And once again, don't forget you can now head over to, in 10 minutes, go over to Bart K, Nutrition Science Watchdog, and watch that live stream. And once that's finished, I think it was 4 hours later, Harry is going to do a live stream as well. So if you are into carnivory and science and stuff, you have your whole Sunday packed with live streams, and you can just keep that on, ask your questions, and have a really good Sunday for me, probably a Saturday for most of you, sorry. Irma, thanks, Pam. You are awesome. Thank you very much. I think you are all awesome. It was great to have you here and that you want to listen to what I have to say. So thank you so much, and I will see you again with hopefully another interesting topic next Sunday. Take care.